if you shop this way, you'll still be eating off of these forever fresh groceries that won't spoil on you well into December. You'll also hack how to make your own sports drinks and several cold and flu remedies you wish you had this coming fall. And you'll do all that while spending less at the grocery store, because I'm all about showing you how to shop with what's in season, on sale, or already on your shelf. In this month's Pantry Chat, I'm here to show you how to go from your garden or the grocery store so that you can create easy artisanal meal starters, sides, sauces, syrups, and all-natural medicines sourced right from your very own kitchen. So follow along with the free grocery guide that goes with this video so that you can customize your meal planning now. Plus, you're gonna get the recipe cards for the drinks, jams, sauces, ferments that I'm about to show you. By the way, this month we're planning around these vegetables:
arugula, beets, bell peppers, carrots, corn, cucumbers, eggplant, green beans, okra, peas, radishes, spinach, summer squash, tomatoes, and zucchini.
And these are the fruits that are gonna be on sale too:
apricots, blackberries, blueberries, cherries, figs, grapes, gooseberries, melons, nectarines, peaches, plums, raspberries, strawberries, and watermelon.
I just love summer cherries. They are delicious for fresh eating, but then also in desserts, jams, and sauces, which is why I find myself preserving more of them each year. And seeing as how we're in the middle of barbecue season, did you know that fresh cherries will give you a barbecue sauce that is full of that smoky, spicy goodness? Yep, and here's a recipe for a barbecue sauce when you want something that's a little bit more refined.
This recipe starts with fresh pitted cherries. Here are some I picked up from the farmer's market earlier this week and have removed the pits from, which are pretty easy to remove just with your hands. Next, you'll take some bourbon. Any basic and affordable brand will do the trick. Saturate your cherries and microwave them to soften about 45 seconds to 1 minute. After that, take an onion and roughly chop it up. And then you're going to add them to a pan warmed with a drizzle of olive oil. Next, you'll season your onions with smoked paprika, minced garlic, and a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Next, stir in brown sugar and cook 2 to 3 minutes until syrupy. Grab a jar of tomato sauce and stir that into the pan, along with a few splashes of Worcestershire sauce, a few teaspoons of dried mustard, a dash of salt and pepper, and horseradish. I like this brand, which has just 2 ingredients, horseradish and vinegar, because it keeps in the fridge for months and already comes peeled and chopped. If you were to taste test this sauce right now, it would be so savory, but don't forget about the cherries that we have marinating in bourbon that we need to add. Simmer your cherries in the sauce for a few minutes and then remove the pan from the heat to cool. You'll use an immersion blender to blend the sauce until it's smooth, then grab your canning jars. I'm using pint sizes to ladle my beautiful cherry barbecue sauce into the jars. You need just a tall stock pot filled with enough water to submerge your jars that's been brought to a boil. But before you add your jars, use a debubbler to remove any air bubbles that could prevent your jars from sealing. Wipe your jars with water or vinegar and center your 4 jars canning lids, which I use exclusively because of their fantastic seal, and center the lids on the jars, then apply the bands, adjusting to fingertip tight. You'll place your jars in the boiling water canner and process them for 15 minutes before removing them to cool for at least 12 to 24 hours. You will love slathering this sauce over ribs or baked chicken, which is what you're watching me do now since I have some chicken thighs on hand. All I did was season the thighs with a bit of salt and pepper and then oil the skillet a bit and poured this savory cherry sauce over and placed this pan in the oven. Look at this beautiful from scratch sauce that didn't take all day to make with all the ingredients that you want, and none you don't. This recipe is one that I adapted from the all-new Ball book of canning and preserving.
Next up, I've got an ultimate summer jam recipe that takes just 5 minutes on the stove and gels right in the freezer.
Peaches and plums are abundant and at their tastiest right now, and here's a mix of each that I want to turn into freezer jam that I'll treat like a sauce for, well, almost anything. You start by removing the pits from the plums, and these are extra juicy, and then you blanch the peaches so that you can remove the skins easily. You place the plums in a blender and pause them to mince, and then pour them into a bowl. I'm using a pitcher just because I find that convenient. See how easily the skins slide off once you blanch them? After you remove the skins, you'll dice the peaches and add them to the plum puree. Top with brown sugar and stir everything together. Since we need to add a few more ingredients, and I slightly underestimated, I'm pouring some of my mix into a second container. Next, you're going to take liquid fruit pectin, there's also a sugar-free option, and add that to your mix and give everything a good stir to thoroughly combine. Yeah, so that's it. You'll pour this into jars and let that sit for 10 minutes, and then you'll move them to the freezer where they'll gel up like jam and last for at least a year. When it thaws out, it keeps for a month in your fridge. But what I'm going to do is use this as a delicious syrup topping for ice cream, spread over pancakes, add to my morning oatmeal, and sweeten up homemade smoothies over the next month. So for me, I'm placing it in a half-gallon jar that's headed straight for the fridge.
This time of year, likely you and all of your gardening friends are drowning in cucumbers and zucchini. So here's a quick and delicious twist on a pickle recipe you'll love.
I have been curiously eyeing the lime mint freezer pickle recipe from the Ball Book of Canning, and let me tell you, you want to make them because they are a delicious switch up from the regular pickle brine. You'll salt and massage them to release the moisture for 30 minutes, and then when you come back, you'll want to squeeze in fresh lime juice, sugar, white distilled vinegar, a hearty helping of fresh mint, since that's growing like crazy in my garden, along with minced garlic and some peppers, which are not in short supply, along with chopped onion, and then you just give everything a really good mix. After that, you'll add fresh lime zest. I was very generous with this step. And then you want to cover and chill them in the fridge for at least 8 hours. The following morning, you'll drain the cucumbers and then pack your cucumbers into jars, then add the liquid back in. You can keep these in the freezer for up to 6 months or in the fridge for about a month. These pickles are so delicious that you'll eat them like chips, but they are excellent, I tell you, on a chicken sandwich because they are so full of layered flavor. You've got the tangy acidity from the sweet vinegar brine, the brightness from the lime, the crunchy texture from the peppers and the cucumbers, and then the pops of onion taste that make this the only condiment you need on a chicken sandwich.
If this is our first time meeting, hi, I'm Cassandra from the blog becomingafarmgirl.com. I'm here to help you start building a preservation pantry and show you how to create delicious meals your family will love. If you'd like to start getting my free grocery guide delivered straight to your inbox each month, click on the link in the description box below or in the pinned comment. It's officially pepper season, and as soon as they come off the vine, here's a recipe that I make in minutes.
We love salsa around here. Not only is it great for chips and dip, but I'll also stir it into casseroles and soups in a heartbeat. This recipe is excellent because there's no stovetop anything required. You just chop up your peppers, and don't forget to remove the stem and cut around the tops of your peppers too. A lot of people throw that away, and it's still edible food. In this recipe, I'm combining both sweet and hot jalapeno peppers because that's what I've got on hand. And then you'll just add some roughly chopped onion. And I do mean roughly chopped because you're just gonna grab your blender and let it do the fine chopping work for you. Remove your pepper mix from the blender and then add minced garlic to your heart's content. Then you'll add some salt and stir everything really well to combine. Now for this batch, I'm going to season with smoked paprika, but I always like to switch my spices up. Transfer everything to a large jar. And then after you do that, you're going to top it with a glass weight to submerge the ingredients under the brine. I also like to use an airlock lid, which regularly burps your jars without you having to do this daily task. This takes about 2 weeks to ferment on your counter, but you'll transfer it to the fridge where it will keep for up to 2 years. It's delish, so it will be well gone before then.
So this year I need to stock up on blueberry syrup, which yes, I use for breakfast pancakes, but also as a syrup to mask some of the bitter flavors from the herbal medicines that I make.
Making your own syrups isn't hard, and once you start, you won't want to stop. I grabbed several pints at the market and I've been storing them in these produce containers that I recently picked up from Aldi, and I love them. They provide airflow, drainage, and are really helping to keep things crisp. After cleaning your berries, you'll bring them to a boil with a few cups of water in a large stock pot. After several minutes, you'll take a potato masher and crush the berries, then let them simmer for about 15 minutes. Next, you'll use cheesecloth or a nut bag to pour the blueberry mixture into the strainer. You've got to let this naturally drain off, so don't press down on the berries even though you'll be tempted. You absolutely must save the pulp, and I'm going to show you a way that you can use it to make a blueberry butter in just a second. Set your blueberry juice aside, then on the stove you'll bring a 3-to-1 ratio of water and brown sugar to a boil, and then you'll do that until the sugar starts to dissolve, but then keep boiling for about another 20 minutes after that. Then you'll stir in your blueberry juice and simmer. Things will really start to thicken up on you. Then you'll add a splash of lemon juice, give things a final stir, then ladle your hot syrup into jars and water bath can it for 10 minutes. You've now got blueberry syrup made with real blueberries instead of, quote, blueberry flavoring, whatever that means and is, on your shelf. The pulp from the blueberry syrup can be processed in a blender until it gets very smooth, which only takes a minute or two. So after you do this, you're then going to take the pureed pulp and transfer it to the stove, where you're going to add a few cups of sugar and then a splash of lemon juice and zest, some nutmeg or cinnamon, and then bring things to a rapid boil for just several minutes. I think you'll already believe me when I tell you that this is one of the best things you can ladle over hot breakfast pancakes. So please, please don't toss out your blueberry pulp.
So last month I showed you how I started to make my fire cider, but that it wasn't quite finished because I still needed to rummage around for some ingredients that I wanted to add. I don't know what it's like in your neck of the woods, but I can't always reliably find fresh turmeric when I go to the grocery store, but it is an essential ingredient that I like to add to my fire cider. And yes, I have the powder, but I always like to keep some of the fresh on hand. So that's where turmeric paste can come into play, which can last over a year in your fridge and has probiotic goodness.
Here are some beautiful turmeric knobs that I got my hands on, and the first step is to peel them and chop everything up in a food processor until it gets to a paste consistency. Now this may take a few pulses, so give it a few minutes, and then you'll add pepper, a hefty sprinkle of salt, which will immediately moisten the root and your paste. It'll look something like this. Transfer your paste to a glass container and press a fermentation weight on top, and this will release the brine above the paste. You can keep this on your counter for the next 5 to 10 days and just take small little taste tests until it gets to the kind of tanginess that you prefer. Then transfer it to the fridge where it will keep for over a year. Now, a little bit of this goes a long way in adding flavor to sauces and sauteed veggies.
Now, as you work with seasonal ingredients, it's easy to overlook the fact that before the days of pre-made juices and sodas, beverages were crafted with fresh, natural ingredients that not only had the purpose of quenching your thirst, but also served as a health tonic. Plus, using them is one of the quickest ways to preserve the summer bounty of fruits, vegetables, and herbs. Simultaneously, you'll also be stocking your medicine cabinet with tried and true remedies that have worked for thousands of years. So here's how I'm starting to stock my medicine cabinet without pharmaceuticals bowls while getting some health drinks and delicious cocktails too.
I want to surprise my good friend Janet and her husband Gary, who's a bourbon fan, with a batch of peach-infused bourbon for Christmas, and with peaches currently in season, I've got to make this now. This recipe starts with chopped peaches that you'll remove the pits from, and then you'll add the peaches, sugar, and bourbon in a large jar. You're going to store this in a cool, dark place for about a week, watching to make sure that the peaches stay submerged. Now make sure you label and date everything before you tuck it away, but after about a week, you're going to prepare the pecans by soaking them in a bowl full of water for about 30 minutes, and this helps to remove any bitter flavors that may be in the nuts. Then you'll remove and pat dry them and place the nuts on a baking sheet and heat for 10 minutes or until golden brown. You're going to let your toasted pecans cool and then pulse them until they're finely chopped, and then you're going to add them to your jar of peaches and bourbon. Now, for the next week, you're going to need to taste this to determine the pecan flavor that's good for you. And then when it's just right, you're going to strain and remove the solids and bottle it up. It'll keep in a cool, dark place for up to 1 year. This blackberry and thyme oxymel is a tasty way to get a vitamin C boost and a host of antioxidants. Since fresh blackberries are in season, we're going to add them to our oxymel to enhance the flavor. So start by adding those to a jar and then crush them with a potato masher or just your hands. Then grab some fresh thyme from your garden, which relieves coughs and helps to clear up chest congestion. The more the better to the jar. Pour apple cider vinegar over the top and cover with a non-reactive lid. Now this needs to sit for 2 to 4 weeks and be shaken daily, but after that you'll drain and discard the solids and add honey to the vinegar solution. This immunity recipe stores for over a year in your fridge and is a wonderful cold and flu remedy. Another herbal remedy for winter wellness is a sage oxymel because sage is packed full of cold and flu properties and aids digestion, while others appreciate its memory and mood enhancing properties. Since I have tons of garden sage, I just took it and roughly chopped it up, added honey, which extracts the medicinals out of the sage, and then gradually pour in vinegar. Now, you'll want to use a chopstick to release the air bubbles so that everything is combining. And then you'll just cover and store this for 2 to 4 weeks, strain the solids, and store in the fridge for up to a year. Turmeric switchel is my favorite switchel drink because the flavor is incredible, but the antiviral and anti-inflammatory properties are even better. You'll mix honey, apple cider vinegar, fresh lime juice, fresh turmeric, ginger, and black pepper in a glass jar and then stir to dilute the honey. Now, after that, you're going to pour in some water and then you'll give things a mix again and refrigerate this for at least 2 hours, but up to a day. The longer it steeps, the more robust the flavor will be. Fresh turmeric stains your hands and everything else, so please be sure to wear your apron. I've already shown you how to make a turmeric switchel, but this is one that has a classic ginger flavor, and I just like to keep both on hand. The combination of these ingredients actually creates a high mineral electrolyte drink, making this a healthy alternative to sugary sports drinks. I usually take a shot of this or the turmeric switchel every morning. I just love the taste. Now, after you combine all of your ingredients, molasses, apple cider vinegar, ginger, and water, you've just made switchel. All right, our switchels are ready to be strained and bottled. I can't tell you how much better I feel when I have these on hand. Not only will you be priced out if you try to buy something this healthy at the grocery store, but they really don't take that much time to make, and these are ingredients that aren't just for these beverages, they're pantry staples too. I take a mix of tinctures each morning, and after dinner, I have found that pouring a bit of these flavorful switchels on top completely masks the taste of the tinctures to the point that I look forward to taking them. I'm telling you, you've got to try these recipes. Earlier this year, when I visited Tudor Place, the colonial home of George and Martha Washington's granddaughter, I learned that bottles of cherry shrub were found still very much preserved over the last 250 years, which piqued my curiosity in making this recipe, which can be used for dressings, marinades, glazes, cocktails, or mixed with soda waters. You just mash the cherries in a bowl and then transfer their juices to a jar and pour over a mix of balsamic and white vinegar. Next, you'll tuck in a vanilla bean. This is one that I took from a jar marinated in my homemade vanilla rum extract. After a week, I'll strain the solids and then add a combination of vinegar and sugar. This will keep in a cool, dark place for over a year, but as history shows, perhaps hundreds of years.
To get more recipe inspiration to start stocking your pantry or plate with on sale, in season, or already on your shelf foods, click on the video on your screen. I'll see you in my kitchen or garden soon. Take care, friends.